We are back again. This is the second episode of our second season of SecondString SportsTalks. So I thought that was interesting. A lot of seconds there because seconds matter. And since seconds matter, we're going to get started. Bryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, everybody. Welcome in to our episode. We have a very special guest. This is like a very big thing for us to have a guest in general. So we're going to be doing, just a fun game. We're going to be talking about gambling for a little bit, but mainly we're going to be focusing our attention on our guest, which if you want to introduce him, Johnny.
Yeah, without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Ken Bone.
How's it going, Second Stringers? I am happy to be here.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you taking the time. Absolutely.
Anything, especially for somebody local. You guys are St. Louis area folks, Greenville alums, so I'm happy to be here with you.
Exactly. Yes. Well, it's so nice to meet you. We're very excited to get talking. We were talking just before the show about some fun things that I did not know about Ken that will be sort of a fun topic of conversation involving sports of some kind. Just a little teaser there. But Johnny, so we do have like a question and answer thing. So if anybody in the chat wants to throw out some questions for us, for Ken, not for us, we don't matter. But if anybody has any questions for Ken, feel free to throw them out and we'll pull them up on screen. And Ken, you can answer whatever you feel comfortable answering. You can pass on whatever you feel you need to pass on, and we'll leave it at that.
I was waiting on that one. I was holding that one. Ken Bone matters. No, yeah. So just tell us. I mean, this will be the only question about the debate. I promise. So what was it? I just want to ask kind of a simple. What was it like going from going into you're kind of just it's a cool thing you get to go to watch the presidential debate, not expecting any attention on yourself at all. What was that kind of like on the other side? Was it kind of like an on and off switch of fame, or was it a something else? What was it? Was it kind of surreal?
Yeah, it was like 0 to 100 instantaneously as soon as I left the debate. We were not allowed to have our phones with us.
Oh, so yeah.
Mine was locked up in my glove compartment in my car. So I got back to the car, and they had told us during the debate prep all day, there might be some media personalities or reporters or whatever wanting to interview you in the parking lot, any one of you that asked a question. And I was like, wow, neat. Maybe I'll get my picture in the paper. And so I walked back out through the parking lot, and there's no reporters or anything. And I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, oh, I thought I would have a newspaper clipping from my grandma or something.
Right.
And then I get back in my car and open up the glove compartment, turn my phone on, and I had 100 text messages and dozens of emails, and my voicemail box was full. And it was all everybody I knew calling me, and also places wanting to interview me, and people wanting to set stuff up. That was at 11 at night by the time I got out of there. The first media thing I had was at 4 o'clock the next morning.
Oh wow.
And it was on a morning show in Dallas, a local wake up Dallas kind of thing, that a girl I knew in high school was a producer on. So she contacted me, and I was like, oh, Katie remembers me, and she still had my phone number or whatever.
So let them have it for it. Yeah, let them have the good.
She texted me, and she was like, will you be on the show? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then it just throughout the day, I kept getting more messages and more calls and more stuff coming in, and more people pulling me to the side, if I'd go to a studio to do an interview or something. And then basically I did media for 21 hours straight with just enough time to hang up one call, get on the next one, or go to the next TV studio. And then I did that for 5 more days. I did an average of 20 hours a day.
Yeah, that's 80 hours. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I was on TV or the radio in 32 different countries in the first 2 weeks. It was wild. One day I started out at 3:30 a.m. on I forget what it was. I think it was Fox News Radio or Fox Sports Radio.
Yeah, because they're on East Coast time, so that's an hour and ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last thing I did that night was an afternoon drive time show in Dublin, Ireland at 2 a.m. Wow.
So all the way in Ireland, they were getting attention. That's crazy.
Yeah, they like me. I had a lot of fans in New Zealand. I did a lot of New Zealand stuff. I don't know why. They just thought I was interesting for some reason. But yeah, it was wild. And then it just after the first couple of weeks, it just very, very slowly tapered off. And then COVID kind of killed it entirely. Like I had a bunch of stuff booked for the summer of 2020. I had like a speaking tour I was going to go on, all kinds of other things. And they all just kind of got canceled because of COVID. And then after it was, that just took all the momentum away. So I didn't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't do too much these days.
It's such a shame that like it put a halt to a lot of things, but I mean, it's kind of like a trauma shared experience. We're just not talking about it anymore. So, Bilal wants to ask if you still own the red sweater and how much you would want for it.
I have a red sweater. It was part of a Ken Bone Halloween costume that I did not get paid any royalties for.
Really?
I was doing a meet and greet at a convention or like a trade show with a friend of mine who owns a business down in New Orleans. And he was like, make sure you bring the sweater. I'm like, I don't have that anymore. So he sent one of his employees to a local Walmart and they found a Halloween costume of me.
Oh my God.
And bought it. So I've got a cheap knockoff of my own sweater. The original one I sold back to the company that made it, which is Izod. They mostly make like golf apparel and stuff. So it was an Izod sweater, and they gave $10,000 to one of my favorite charities for it. They keep it in their archives now.
That's super cool.
They've got it in the archives. They said that like other stuff they've got in the archives is like James Dean's leather jacket from Rebel Without a Cause and Michael Jackson's moonwalk shoes. There are other famous garments they've made. Now that stuff's probably behind glass cases and stuff.
Yeah.
And the sweater's probably in a drawer, but at least it's in the same place.
No, you put that. Don't downplay yourself, man. That's a good company to be in. Yeah. No, that's what charity was it?
Let's see. We did two different charities. One we sold the sweater for, and the other one that was just part of my contract with Izod. They had to give money to. One was Honor Flight, which takes World War II, Korean, and Vietnam veterans and flies them out to Washington, D.C. to see their war memorials, people that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford that. And then the other was St. Patrick's Center for the Homeless, which is a Housing First homeless initiative in South St. Louis. Takes folks, puts them in apartments, and like it's called Housing First because it'll take you and put you in stable housing first instead of saying, hey, if you go to drug rehab, we'll help you get an apartment, or if you do this, we'll help you get an apartment. They put you in a stable house, and then they help you address the root cause of your homelessness, whether it be fleeing from domestic abuse or drug abuse or mental illness or whatever. So once you're in a stable situation, it's a lot easier to deal with that. And it costs a lot more money, but it has like an 80% success rate in keeping people in stable housing. So they were able to get a lot of folks off the street that winter.
That's awesome. With that money. That's super noble. I mean, you could have just like cashed in as much as you could have in your time, but that's really cool. I really admire that for real.
Yeah, I made some money for me too. I'm not like a saint or anything, but I wanted to make sure that I gave back to the community also while I had a chance.
No, I mean, I'm just saying you never have to. That's the thing. I mean, so I just think it's cool. And if you feel that responsibility, I think that means a lot. So switching over to football, though, Scam Baiter, that's a great name. Lions over Chief 44-23. You watching the game tonight? You got a prediction for us?
I'll probably mostly be playing Final Fantasy 16 tonight. I'm going to be on night shift tomorrow, so I got to stay up all night. Be playing video games most of the night and drinking beer before I go to sleep when the sun comes up. I might kick on the game for a little bit. I'll at least watch the highlights.
Right. No, that sounds like a good time to me.
Nobody on my team is going tonight. Somebody on the team I'm playing in my fantasy league. Let's see. They got the kicker from the Chiefs is going tonight. So no big impact players going.
Big stakes, right? Yeah.
Good old Harry Butt is kicking tonight.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. And so I don't know what questions. Sorry, I just came back from
No, that's good. I was going to ask, what is your fantasy team? You want to show us?
Yeah.
Go through your lineup with us.
Yeah, my fantasy team is called the Belleville Football Team, and they are this week we're going up against the Eskimo Bros. And I got Dak Prescott going at quarterback, right. James Conner, Amari Cooper. Then I got at wide receiver, I got Zay Jones, DK Metcalf, Christian Watson. I have Cooper Kupp on my team, but he's listed as out this week.
Dude, that's a shame.
That sucks because he is a huge percentage of the team. Got Evan Ingram at tight end. I do have Zach Ertz on the bench. He's got a pretty tough matchup with Washington this week, so he's probably going to go with Ingram. He's a little younger, a little less banged up. Justin Tucker at kicker. My team was so pathetic last year that Tucker was actually one of my keepers. The difference between a Justin Tucker at kicker was bigger than any of the impacts that my third tier wide receivers would have made.
Yeah, of course.
And then the Dolphins as the team defense. We don't do individual defensive players in our league.
Okay.
We did last year, or a couple of years ago. We stopped. I kind of miss it, honestly.
Yeah, I like it. I think it just oddly sways the game for no reason. Like some people just randomly have an extra 20 points every once in a while. But yeah, no, I mean, that's a solid team. Who was your first pick overall in your draft? Do you remember?
First overall this year, I think was James Conner.
Okay.
Yeah, or no, it might have been Zay Jones. I don't remember which was first.
Because it was keeper league. Yeah.
But yeah, I kept Cooper and Justin Tucker from last year.
Who's Tim playing this week? I wouldn't give him advice.
Yeah. No, so Tim is in our fantasy league.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you on that one.
So if you look in the comment, we just pulled it up on the screen, but I'm not sure if you could see on your end. I don't know how this works on.
It should. I think it should pop up.
Underneath our face, it'll say a little comment. So it says start Hopkins, Gabe Davis, or Jerry. I'm assuming he means Jerry Judy, but
Jerry Jones.
Jerry. Yeah, is it Jerry Jones?
Start Jerry Jones. He's an icon.
Yeah.
He always seems to come out on top somehow. I'd probably go Hopkins just for the recognition factor. I'm just one step above that girl in your office football pool that picks the pretty uniforms. So I'm not really the best resource, but Hopkins is hard to go wrong with.
And that's part of this podcast is we're informing you as well. Like we want to help you win your league. So and we'll tell you, do this, don't do this. If you have any questions, let us know. But this is what we talk about when we're bored. So, but yeah, no, and I think Hopkins is a good choice there too. Gabe Davis, I feel like that
he's a deep threat, but he's not reliable.
He's one. What do they call that in fantasy football?
It's a boomer bust.
Boomer bust. Yeah. Jerry.
Is he playing?
I was going to say if he's completely healthy. Yeah, I think he was. I think they did say he'd send a laughing emoji when people were.
Yeah, I was curious about that.
But I don't know. I'm a little nervous, but I think I would pick Hopkins in that realm.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a solid
on his new team. Pick. They might want to throw some cool stuff at his way.
Looks like the news feed is telling me Judy was limited in practice today and is listed as questionable for Sunday. So have to keep an eye on him.
If he did practice, that's still a good sign.
Right. Yeah. So, and I think just consistency's sake, I think I would still pick Hopkins, even if he's not on the same, even if he's on a different team. So, let's see here.
You're in a wiffle ball team. Can you tell us? You have a little history.
Yeah, we heard some
history of wiffle ball. You said.
Yeah, I've been playing wiffle ball at a pretty decently high level for almost 30 years now. My dad was like a semi-pro wiffle ball player. He actually traveled all over the country playing in tournaments and stuff in the 80s and 90s. And so I would play with him and his teams. I wasn't quite good enough to make the travel team, so I had very limited travel with him. But I went to Boston with him a couple of times, New York a couple of times. Wiffle ball was a lot bigger on the East Coast in the 90s, especially in New Jersey. The New Jersey folks really loved them some wiffle ball. And I was okay. I could hit a little bit. I never really could pitch. And now I mostly just play in one or two tournaments a year. My brother is the captain of a team in a league out in Chesterfield, Missouri, which is a little west of St. Louis. So I go and cheer him on. I do the commentary for all their games. So you can find them at mowiff.com, like mo-wiff.com. Come on out if you're in the Chesterfield area. Check out some high-level competitive wiffle ball. But it's been a blast.
Do they cork their bats there, or does that give you an advantage in wiffle ball as well?
It just makes them heavier. We most of the guys use carbon composite bats, purpose-made wiffle ball bats that some of them are not cheap. The best one that any of the guys are swinging out costs them about $300, but you can hit just absolute moonshots with it. We used to use aluminum bats back when in my heyday, really thin walled aluminum bats, much thinner than softball bats. So the barrel speed you can get on them is just unbelievable, even if you're old and out of shape like me. They don't have as much momentum behind it, which makes it really super technique driven. And it's kind of a different animal from hitting in baseball. Like high level hitters in baseball will talk a lot about the swing mechanic, where you're kind of using the weight of the barrel head to snap down and then turn your body. Well, the weight of a wiffle ball bat is very small, so it's much harder to get that momentum started for the snap down. So you really have to adjust your mechanics a lot to be an effective hitter in wiffle ball. So if you play both wiffle ball and baseball, you probably screw yourself pretty bad for one or the other. We've had plenty of like younger folks who play college or high school baseball get yelled at by their coaches for coming out and swinging a wiffle ball bat.
I think it's pretty competitive though. Yeah.
Oh, it's extremely competitive. We got guys like some leagues limit the pitch speed and say you're not allowed to throw over 65 miles an hour or whatever. Yeah, sure. No, we don't do that. We got guys that can throw in the low 90s.
Whoa.
And they throw, a wiffle ball in the low 90s from 48 feet, which gives you the equivalent response time of a baseball being thrown at about 110. And, oh, by the way, it can also break vertically 3 to 4 feet and horizontally 3 to 4 feet.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy wiffle ball pitching where it's just like it's wild because it's so light. And it's the ball is just made of plastic, so and the holes just make a very unique curve.
Yeah, and we scuff them up also. Like you very rarely use like a clean out of the box ball. You'll scuff them up with sandpaper or score the outside of them with razor blades or whatever. Gives you a better grip and also makes them catch the air a lot more and break a lot more. It gives them a texture almost like a golf ball has texture so that it will fly straighter. You give a wiffle ball a different kind of texture, so it will fly less straight and curve more.
Gotcha. That's a good question.
Do the balls get like ripped in half?
You rarely see one get torn in half. After one gets like a crack of longer than a quarter inch, it has to be taken out of play. That's most leagues say quarter inch or a half inch, and that really takes the life out of them. Some guys will try to make the balls into what we would call mush balls, where you sandpaper them so much that they're like squishy. And then you can barely hit those out of the infield. So most leagues say you can't do that.
Yep.
Like back in the 90s, there were some jackasses where they throw a ball at you that you could read a newspaper through, like if you held it up to the light.
It's so thin.
Yeah. You get a hold of one and you could almost feel it wrapping around the bat. And then we'd have to throw that one out and get a new one.
So here's a question. I have a blitz ball bat right here. Have you ever played blitz ball before?
I have. I prefer wiffle ball. I'm a purist from way back, but blitz ball is also a lot of fun. It's similar in concept.
Right. And so I got to know blitz ball from the John Boy Media team. I don't know if you know about them, but they do. It's like baseball content. But
John Boy's great. I watch all of his breakdowns. And I try to catch the weekly dumb every week. I don't watch all his Yankees stuff because the Yankees can go to hell. But
too much. I when I found out that there was so much Yankees content, I just like unsubscribed to like half their stuff.
The Talking
Yanks, like Jake the guy. I was like, oh, this is too much Yankees stuff. But yeah, no, I'm very interested in doing wiffle ball. I will say that. So I played a game called chair baseball in college, which is very low energy version of baseball, and it's with a tennis ball, and there's no like catcher or anything. The strike, and I'm assuming this is in wiffle ball too. They have the strike zone as like a plastic thing behind the plate. Is that correct?
Yeah, I forget the dimensions of our strike zone, but it's pretty big. It's pitcher friendly. And if you hit it, so it can get frustrating sometimes when a ball will be a foot outside where you couldn't reach it with the bat if you just held it out and tried to tip it, and it'll still hit the strike zone if you get good enough late break on it. It's an absolute blast. My dad, when he was pitching at a high level, threw a rising fastball that would almost hit the grass on the way in and would come up at the last minute and hit the bottom of the strike zone. It's darn near unhittable. He was one of the like the all-time greats. He's in the Wiffle Ball Hall of Fame. Like,
really,
there literally is such a thing, and he's in it.
That's legit. I feel like this is a new thing I want to get obsessed with. So we might add some more wiffle ball content to our channel. But
we should do a wiffle ball fantasy podcast.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
there wiffle ball fantasy teams?
Probably not.
We do fantasy inside our own league.
Yeah.
But that's it, really.
That's amazing.
I'll send you the link.
Okay.
I'll send you the link for our league and come out to tryouts next year. We call it spring training. Maybe you'll get drafted.
Perfect.
That'll be awesome. And for those of you who don't know, I live fairly close to where this is happening, so I'm like very interested in it. And we have friends that are in the chat. When somebody said Baldwin, our friend is from Baldwin, which of course is near there. And West Side. So is it's probably a long drive from Belleville out to Chesterfield, right? How long of a drive is that?
Yeah. I usually leave straight from work also. I work out in Marissa, and so it's like an hour and 20 minutes. From Belleville, it's like close to an hour, I think.
Yeah.
And then the tournaments that we have every year, which is usually just about all I play in these days, they're in St. Peter's out at the Grand Slam complex. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yeah.
But they do like a lot of baseball tournaments there.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, we'll save some wiffle ball. We'll probably make a whole thing about wiffle ball at this point.
We should just do a separate wiffle ball podcast.
Yeah, we're just gonna do a wiffle ball podcast.
Wiffle ball Wednesdays sounds good.
Wiffle ball Wednesdays. Let's move on to October 9th, 2016 was the date you were on the presidential debate. That's when that happened. When you got your 15 minutes of fame. That's where that all kind of stemmed from.
Well, more than 15 minutes, Brian. Okay.
I mean, it's been 7 years now, and people are very excited that year. So I'd say it's at least 7 years of fame.
My seventh meme anniversary is coming up.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we on this date on October 9th, 2016, it was was this a Sunday night or a Thursday night or Monday night? Do we remember? It might have been a Sunday night.
I think it was a Sunday, because I remember having to go back to work Tuesday night. I had to call off of work Tuesday and Wednesday because I had been doing so much media stuff. And then Thursday, they're like, you got to come in. And so I had to go to work after only having slept like 3 hours in 3 days. It was rough.
At some point, you got to say enough's enough. Yeah. But yeah, this clip happened that night while Ken Bone was watching the debate, probably.
I'll just be happy when I have to kick the other way. So some things to look for. Joe?
Pat McAfee's lost his mind. What's going on at the start of this game? Here's Deontay Thompson on the return. Out across the 30, and a lot of Bears fans in attendance enjoyed that return. What was that, Aikman? What is this?
Man, I don't know, but I think it'll be the last time we see it. The Bears, they get a good return off of whatever they're trying to accomplish with all this.
Yeah, so that same night was the Bears versus the Colts, and then Pat McAfee did that weird kick. I'm pretty sure I was watching that game, and I didn't even think about the presidential debate happening at that time. But, of course, all the Ken Bone memes came out, and I was like, oh, I missed something. So that was what was happening I think a little bit before the debate started. And we do this segment called On This Date in Fantasy Football History. And that was a very unique game, by the way. So it was the Bears versus the Colts, which is
a high scoring too. Yeah. The Bears scored over 30 points. That's very unique.
No, they actually didn't. I think you're mixing up something, because it was 23-29. The Bears lost. But I don't know where you got the 30.
I thought I saw 31-35 for some reason.
Okay. You're seeing stuff here. The big thing that happened, it wasn't actually Pat McAfee that was like the kicker that was highlighted. It was Adam Vinatieri. He had 5 for 5 field goals that night, and he had 2 past the 50-yard mark. So in our current scoring, he would have scored 23 points that game in fantasy football alone, which is crazy for a kicker. But yeah, that was it's also a low point in the Bears history. I'm a Bears fan, so we were on our third quarterback at that point that year. We were on Brian Hoyer. There was Jay Cutler. I think it was Matt Barkley, and then Brian Hoyer. We were on Brian Hoyer at that point. Very low point in Bears history, just like this past year when we were at the last in the league. But I just thought that was interesting. It was a same time frame that when we were thinking of like, what can we do for that segment? Like, oh, this happened at the same time as the debate. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That's wild.
That's what I like with watching random football videos, especially during the off season, just like random memories of random games. I love that kind of stuff. We got a question from Tim.
If I was from closer to the Chicago area, I'd probably be a lot more into football. Being around 40 years old, that would have been like, the Super Bowl shuffle era Bears that I would have been into. But being from the St. Louis area, when I was in kindergarten, the Arizona Cardinals moved from St. Louis to Arizona. And then we didn't have a team again until the Rams came when I was in high school. And so, those formative years where I really, really would have got big into football, I spent getting more into baseball and hockey. And then they came back when I was in high school, or the Rams came when I was in high school. And they were great for a couple of years, and then they sucked again, and then they left. So, like a deadbeat dad leaves you once, and the NFL left me twice. So I felt like I was done with them for a while.
You got the Battlehawks, though. You watched any Battlehawks football? You gonna go to
I watched a little bit. I would like to. I didn't make it to a game in their first run before the league got shelved during COVID. But I'd like to make it to one this season if I can. We got a lot in sports going on this year. The St. Louis Cardinals baseball team sucks, and more than they have since the early 90s. And the St. Louis Blues, the hockey team, they won the Cup in 2019, and then they suck now also. They're kind of in a rebuild. But we got an MLS team that's at the top of the charts. I've been trying to make it to one of their games, but tickets are hard to come by. St. Louis is a big soccer town, and also the team is amazing, so it's tough to get tickets. And then once the Battlehawks are going again, I'll try to get out to see them, and that'll be a blast. I have no idea how the XFL is going, but I hope the Battlehawks win.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I'm a season ticket holder of the Battlehawks. I was last year. I am this next year. And back in 2020, but when they started back up, or the XFL started back up, I had season tickets back then. So I haven't missed a home game Battlehawks game yet. And I'm very passionate. So feel free to come out. We'll shoot some content. We'll have a fun time. Do some tailgating. I know my friend Marcus in the chat would definitely want to join us. So feel free. We got a ticket for you if you wanted to join. They're pretty cheap anyway. So, but anyway, so this next segment we're gonna do.
I want to ask one more. Can we ask one more question?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Did you see the Barbie movie, Ken?
Yeah, I liked it kind of a lot. Not only was it a fun movie, but it had a lot of interesting social commentary, not just on like girl power stuff, but also on like men's issues. It was more sensitive to like men's issues than you would think it would be, since it was really more of a woman-focused movie. But it gave you a lot to think about, and also Margot Robbie is brutally hot, and so between those two things, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I love that line. The movie was like not a great point when casting Margot Robbie in the movie.
I thought that was really funny. Ryan Gosling kind of stole every scene he was in too.
He really did.
He was fun to watch.
He was fantastic. Yeah, I'm interested to see who kind of gets Oscar nods for that. So, would you say that are you Knuff then, Ken?
Yeah, I definitely think so. My wife has an I am Knuff hoodie that she likes to wear. I'd like to get one too. I'll wear it to work. Hell with it. I'm comfortable.
I can't believe she didn't get you one, and she got herself one. No,
I guarantee you, if that movie had been made in 2017, I'd have been in that dance number. I guarantee it.
You definitely was like the hottest. I'm surprised you never got an email from anyone. That's interesting.
No, I'm a little past my prime now, but we missed the window for that.
Well,
Nick wants to know how you came into contact with us buffoons.
Well, I can provide some context.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger lit up the other day, and I wasn't entirely sure why. It was from Bryan, and I had talked to him once before about doing an event at Greenville College way back in 2016. And I told Bryan to email me about it, and I don't know if he never did or if I blew him off, but I don't think that event ever happened.
I think I emailed, and then whatever happened, we just didn't. I was a student, by the way, so I'm very much like I was, not paying attention to things. I probably wasn't even looking at my email. But and so we were talking about you because Johnny had edited a video with a YouTuber named Brandon Perna. And he big fan of you. He wants to meet you. So we're trying to set something up for that. But he had done a video with Ken in the actual video. It was like they're talking about 2016 as a big year in sports, a very unique year in sports. And then they talked about the presidential debate, and they said it was big for one reason, and it was like Ken Bone, and then it was like shot over to you in the video that Johnny was editing. And I was like, I love the Ken Bone reference. And I was like, I think I have his email. Like, I don't know why, but I don't remember why, but I'm almost positive I have his email. I'm like, oh, I actually have messaged him on Facebook before, and I was reading. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot I had talked to him about this event. So I was like, let's just shoot it, throw a shot out there. If he says no, then whatever. We at least tried. And so yeah, I just randomly messaged Ken. I was like, hey, if you want to join our podcast, this is what we're doing. And Ken was like, I don't care. I'm free. Let's do it. So very nice guy.
Yeah, I'm kind of at the sort of at the stage now in my life where like I can't really move too much stuff around to be on people's podcasts and stuff because I got a career and a family and all that. But I have a lot of fun doing these sort of things, and if I'm free, yeah, I don't like to say no.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're glad that you saw our message and you have fun. But we're not done yet. What's the next segment we got? The mustache.
This is our gambling section.
Actually. Oh, we got our okay. Yeah.
So I'm gonna call my friend Tom 1 second, but Tom do you want to pull up our slideshow here?
Oh, we're gonna do this at the end. That's all right. Yeah. Oh, we didn't. Yeah, that was the day in football history.
Hey, Tom, are you there?
Yes.
So, Tom, we got Ken Bone here. You might not be able to hear him because he's in my headphones. But we want to know, well, do you have any questions for Ken? You want to say hi, and we're going to ask you about your bets, your toots and teasers for the week.
Hey, Ken, it's an honor to be on this esteemed podcast with you. I'm really, really happy to be giving out an all-star pick this week. I'm happy to. I don't have any questions for the esteemed Mr. Bone, but like I say, I really appreciate his work in the debate several years ago, as did, I'm sure, the hosts.
Well, yeah, I'm happy to be here, and if you got any absolute locks this week, I'll put 20 on it.
My segment here. I am going to tease two teams. For those of you listeners or watchers who don't know what a tease is where you bring the line 6 points in your favor, but you then parlay those two lines together. So both of the picks have to hit, or it will not hit, but you get a little extra juice on your points. So this week I am doing a somewhat controversial pick of two AFC South teams. I'm going to be taking the Jaguars and the Titans and giving both of their lines a 6-point boost. So we're going to be taking the Titans up from 3.5 to 9.5. So all the Titans have to do is lose by 9 or less, and you're a winner. We're going to take the Jags from favored by 3.5 all the way, or favored by 3 all the way back across the line to +3. So if the Jags, the Jags were -5. So we're getting the Jags to +1, which means all the Jags have to do is beat the Colts, and we're a winner. And let me tell you this: the Colts starting Anthony Richardson is a joke. Anthony Richardson lost to Vanderbilt last year in football. If you lose to Vanderbilt in football, you should not be ready to start against an NFL defense less than 12 months later. He's going to get smoked by the Jags and Trevor Lawrence. I can promise you that. And the Titans were 8-3 last year and then had their entire D-line get injured. They had the worst injury luck in the league from week 11 on. They're a great team that just had some horrible injury luck last year, and Mike Vrabel is going to have them ready to go this season. Any questions?
Well, I have a question. Does your Titans pick have anything to do with you being a Titans fan?
I like to keep these teases free from any home team advantage, but I can't say 100% that it doesn't. But I truly do believe, if you look at the Titans' injury luck from last year, the pace they were on, bringing everybody back, they're going to have a great D-line once again. Jeffrey Simmons is back. They're going to have King Henry in the back now with our rookie running back Spears backing him up. Ryan Tannehill back in the pocket. We don't have Malik Willis losing us games. We got the captain Ryan back slinging passes out to Nuke Hopkins, what a pickup for the Titans. I mean,
That's right.
I don't know how they lose to Derek Carr and the Saints, and even if they do lose, they can lose by a touchdown. You're still a winner here.
Well, and so Ken actually recommended that Nuke Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins, would be the pick of the week over Gabe Davis and Jerry Jeudy.
I love that pick because you know what DeAndre Hopkins has? He has a huge catch radius. Brian Tannehill loves to pepper his number one target. He's not the most accurate thrower, but he gets it there. And Nuke Hopkins is going to put out those big meaty paws and make a catch. I can promise you that much.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Tom. I understood like half of what you said, so I'm sure the gambling addicts loved what you said in the chat. But actually, Tim in the chat says he's going to put 5 bones on this teaser of the week, so he appreciates you.
Thank you, Tim.
I'll probably ride along with you as well.
I appreciate being on the show, guys. Ken, good to talk to you, even though I couldn't hear you. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. That was Tom, another St. Louis local. He lives in University City, Ken. So if you ever want to stop by and say hi to Tom, he doesn't look like that picture with all the cigar and fedora on.
He's not as cool.
He looks a little bit more lame than that, but we do appreciate his gambling advice. Now we're going to play a game called Name That Stash for something completely different, not related to football at all. This is a game that I made up last night. We're going to show a cropped picture of a mustache, and Ken and Johnny have to guess whose it is. So this is mostly, they're all celebrities. They're people you should know. So this is a competition. So each person gets a chance to answer. I'll go back and forth, and if they get their answer wrong, then the other person gets to steal it. And I'll start giving hints depending on, who's the next person's opportunity. And if we don't get it, then I'm just going to be like, this game isn't working, and we're going to move on to the next segment because I don't know how easy or hard this is.
It'll work. It should work. We'll see.
Yeah.
If you get some recognizable, I feel like there's a few that I have a inkling. I might just not know the name of them. We'll see though.
Okay. Well, let's start with
I'm letting you control this. I'm not.
I control this. So, let's go to the next slide.
Can you not? Does it not let you on StreamYard? Right. Oh, I know that one.
So, Ken, do you know whose mustache this is?
Do I need to buzz in or?
No, you're just going to get an opportunity to answer. Dick Butkus, going once. All right, that is incorrect. Very close. Johnny Barker.
No.
Mike Ditka.
Okay.
2 dicks. Sorry.
Very, very close. Bears guy, Dick in the name. Dick in the name.
I definitely should have known that one.
But right off the bat, it's fine. This is early in the game. Johnny gets a point. You want to go to the next slide, Johnny? This is we'll show the picture. This is Mike Ditka, 85 Bears head coach. Also, I think he was a head coach for the Cowboys as well. He played on the Cowboys, I believe. Very controversial because he's outspoken, but great legend in the Chicagoland area.
Great GM. He traded a whole draft and another first-round pick for Ricky Williams. So
yes,
one of the best GMs in NFL history.
Yes. All right, let's go to Johnny. This is you, actually. So, Johnny, who is this?
That's Eddie Murphy, isn't it? Oh, I'm going to feel bad. That's probably not him.
Okay. You actually got it right, so you want to go to the next slide. That is Eddie Murphy.
I was going to do that. I was going to feel that white guy thing when you mix up a black person. I was going to have that killed.
All right. Ken, who is this actor?
Wow, that is a heck of a mustache. I feel like I'm going to know this one after the name is said. He's a twerpy, skinny young kid actor.
Yes.
A young kid, but because I'm an old man. But I'm not going to be able to come up with the name, I don't think.
Well, let me give you a hint because I don't want Johnny to run away with this. This isn't fair. He was in the Barbie movie. And he
was.
He was Alan. Yeah.
Yeah, he was Alan, the one that they kind of set up a storyline for.
His last name is a girl's name, but it's pronounced like a girl's name. His last name starts with a C.
Just give her the initials.
MC.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a Michael Cera. He's the king of the twerpy kid actors.
That's right. Correct. All right. This is, and by the way, I thought that was very interesting that there's a little Packers little beanie on the guy, but in the
I kept looking at that. I was like,
what the heck? Johnny's a big Packers fan, so but yeah, that's Michael Cera. Love his mustache, by the way. I love that he committed to it. You know, he knows that.
My wife's also a big Packers fan. My wife is from northern Wisconsin, where it is like legislated that you have to be a big Packers fan.
Oh, it is. It's like
they basically got the day off of school after the Packers would win.
Love it. I love it. Yeah,
they had a teacher in high school that loved the Vikings that was from Minnesota, and he basically got run out of town.
I imagine we do not, especially lately. It's that rivalry has always been heated, but lately there's a lot of hate between the two. Like there's like legitimate hate between the two teams. Moving on though, we'll go to the next one.
Okay, this
John, Bryan, I told you.
No.
I know who it is, but
who is this?
It's Charlie Chaplin.
Let's reveal. It is Charlie Chaplin. Very good.
I should have told you not to do him too. It's too close. I was afraid he was going to do the awful guy with a mustache.
Yeah.
I don't always get to vet his jokes.
You could have got that one from his.
What was that?
He's also got a dope hat. You could have got it just from that.
Yeah, we could have just shown the hat and yeah, but Charlie Chaplin, that's who it is. Let's do the last two just directed at Ken.
Okay.
And then just so he has a chance to come back and tie the game, because I think the way I structured it allowed, if he lost the first one, he was going to lose. So let's allow the next two for Ken to guess. All right. So who is that?
The character,
that's Nick Offerman.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep, Nick Offerman, Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec. Beautiful mustache, well kept. And one thing I struggle with my mustache is that my hair kind of sticks out like crazy, and I don't have like a comb to put it down. His like just naturally kind of falls, I think. And I'm kind of jealous of that with my mustache, but yeah, love is. And
my grandfather had a really cool like push broom mustache that never got out of hand like that. Mine is more like yours, that it doesn't matter what I do. It's just like everywhere, so I just have to keep it trimmed.
Understood. I've been there. So, all right, let's do the next one, the last one for Ken.
That's Wilford Brimley to sell you diabetes supplies.
Diabetes. That is correct. One of the most infamous mustaches.
Didn't he die recently? R.I.P.
In 2020, I did Google that and found that out. Yeah, 2020, I believe. So rest in peace, Wilford. He was the king of the 80s Old West TV shows and other stuff. I really don't know what other stuff he's from. I couldn't name one movie, but he's from
that show, freaking I don't remember. It's before my time, unfortunately.
I think he was also in Cocoon.
The Cocoon. That's a good.
I have to look it up. Yeah, he was in Cocoon, which is he was in The Natural, fantastic sports movie. That was my dad's wiffle ball nickname, was The Natural, named after that. But yeah, he was in Cocoon, which is like a movie about old people who have some kind of encounter with aliens, and it makes them feel young again or something.
He was also in The Lorax. He played the Lorax.
I think they don't make sci-fi movies like that anymore. It's just like horror and Marvel nowadays.
That was a joke, by the way. The Lorax is a cartoon, and I think Danny DeVito did the voice of the Lorax. Anyways, this is a little segment to wrap us up. We always do this, fantasy names we like. We're going to do one for you. It's all about Ken Bone themed names. So the first name we have Bone Thugs and Harmony. Which is, play on the Bone Thugs and Harmony name. I was going to do Bone Rugs and Harmony, but I felt like that was way too soon, so I decided not to do that. So Bone.
You mentioned it, so it's fine.
Okay. The next name is Can You Feel the Love Tonight? So say if you have Jordan Love on your team, Ken, you might want to do Can You Feel the Love Tonight as a name. Very unique.
Sam Elliott. Yeah, Sam Elliott has a very good mustache too. I was hoping.
Yes.
Put him.
Derrick Henry. A little bit of a stretch.
Oh, I just got it. It makes sense when you say it out loud, but I was looking.
That was a little bit of a stretch, and I did it phonetically, so it wasn't spelled out like his name. So you have to read it to hear it. What's that one game where you had to like say stuff? Like, is it Mad Gab or something where you like have a name? Yeah,
balderdash. Like something in your mouth.
Yeah.
Balderdash, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good one for Ken. Derrick Henry. You have Ken right in the middle. And then sweater weather, of course. It's getting a little chilly out. Sweater weather. You're known for your red sweater. So that's all I had. Do you have any unique names, Johnny, that you could come up with Ken puns or?
I thought I gave you one. Didn't I? No, that's fine. I don't remember. I don't have one.
Okay.
Which one do you like the most, Ken? Which one out of those four would you name your team?
I'm a big fan of Derrick Henry. He's not on my team, unfortunately, so it wouldn't make as much sense. My team is called the Belleville Football Team. I'll need to change it to like the Belleville Junior Commanders or something like that.
Junior Commanders.
The commissioner of our league is from West Virginia and is a big Commanders, formerly Redskins fan.
I'm really sorry.
I loved giving him a hard time about the Redskins, having to change their name. Before they did drop their name, I called my team the Outdated Racial Epithets. He didn't think that was very funny either.
Yeah.
It's a copyright infringement because they're going to have a new name too probably soon because they got their copyright denied.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Oh, I didn't know that was why. I thought it was they have a new owner.
New owner and because of that too. I mean, that limits their ability to do stuff. So, well,
Ken, that's all we have. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward show. We did everything we wanted to do, I think.
Yeah, Ken, thank you so much for coming on, man. Anything you want to promote? Anything you got going on in your hemisphere?
Well, with fantasy getting ready to kick off, one of the biggest things I do is on Cameo. So you can download the Cameo app. And if you want me to trash talk any of your fellow fantasy players or if you have a last minute draft, I do randomized draft orders also. So just book me on Ken Bone on Cameo. I have no problem saying awful things to all your friends every time they lose. I have no shame, and I have a lot of fun doing it. It seems to be like the biggest source of people wanting to do cameos with minor or former celebrities like me is get us to say mean things to your fantasy football friends.
That's amazing.
I'm available for that.
We will we'll put those all out on our social media so people can see how to get their cameos from you. And Wiffle
Ball Brimley. That's a good fantasy name for a wiffle ball team.
Wiffle Brimley. Wiffle Ball
Brimley. Yeah. It's a work in progress.
We'll work on it. But Ken, we appreciate you and thank you for coming on. I'm sure we'll be in touch more about some of these fun ideas with wiffle ball and a Battlehawks game. So thank you so much for coming on and enjoy your the rest of your year and good luck in your fantasy.
Well, thanks a lot. Let me know. We'll get together at some point, and once my team's getting its guts stomped out in the middle of the year, I'll hit you guys up for some advice. I'm tired of donating $20 a year to the prize fund when I actually do something this year.
We should have hooked you up the other week when we were on. That's all right. We appreciate you again. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for coming on, Ken. This has been Second String, and you have been Sports Talked.
I don't think
that's not our phrase. We just kind of
we just made it up just now.
I love it.